drinking wouldn't have allowed me to explore this other area of me and kind of was keeping me at this level. Like drinking, when you're drinking a lot, never elevates you. It never progresses you forward. All it does is just keep you here. Keeps you here. You know, you never have heard anybody ever say that I am really glad I started drinking again. Nobody's ever said that because there's no reason to be glad if you've stopped and you've seen the positive aspects that drinking has made towards your life being improved in every way, shape, or form. It's like there's no reason to look back, and that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm really not even like, oh, I'm 100 days sober. I hope I can make it 100 more. I'm almost like drinking isn't even a thing for me anymore. I don't drink, and life has gotten so much better without drinking in every way. So I know a lot of people hit me up on Twitter about being sober. I know a lot of people always ask me questions about it. So I've been thinking about this for a long time. I want to form a place where people can get together and talk about issues with addiction. It doesn't have to be limited to alcohol. It can be any other addiction. I know there's every addiction out there. And even if you're having a hard time in life with depression, if you're having a hard time in life with your family, with work, anything, I know that everybody needs somebody to talk to, and not everybody has somebody to talk to. So I'm going to use Ruin Your Day as a platform for that. Every week on Wednesdays, I haven't decided a time yet, probably around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to have Ruin Your Day live for an hour. And basically what's going to be happening is the chat is going to be live, and that's going to be used as the floor for everybody to talk. I might be on a video feed answering questions to the chat. I might pull up some music that Ruin Your Day made to play. I might play some video in the background. It's going to be sort of a free-form vehicle type of feed. There's not going to be really a set thing that we're doing. The only thing that I want to go on is I want people to feel like it's a safe place to come into and talk and vent, talk to other people, maybe give advice. I'll be in there if anybody wants to ask any questions about being sober. I can give whatever advice I can for that. And yeah, essentially, I just think there needs to be a place like that. I think AA works really well for a lot of people because it's a community. It's a strong-knit community. You have a sponsor that holds you accountable for not drinking. You have other people that are going through the same thing as you. You realize there's a whole world out there of people that just don't drink. And that's rare these days, honestly. So I want there to be a place like that on Ruin Your Day doesn't have to be just limited to alcohol. It could be anything. You know, like my parents went through some heart problems this year, and that really devastated me. So, you know, I needed somebody to talk to about that. My ex-girlfriend's dog that I really love got cancer. My close friend just had cancer. So it's been tough for me as well this year, and I'm really thankful that I've had Ruin Your Day to talk to you guys about battle rap and forget about the troubles in my life, but I want to give back, and I want to create a platform where we can all come together and sort of be each other's shoulder to lean on every now and then. So just wanted to make this video to talk about me getting sober, my experience with it. Honestly, to wrap this up, being sober is like probably the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. Me breaking up with my ex-girlfriend that I love to this day has been the best thing that's ever happened to me too as well. It's really like jump-started me to make big improvements in my life that I'm really proud of. And yeah, I mean, I think anybody out there that's struggling with addiction, the first question you need to ask for yourself if you're thinking that you might have a drug problem, alcohol problem, any sort of problem is, if I'm asking myself if I have a problem, I might have a problem. Do you want to take the next step to solving it? Do you want to get clean? Do you want to get sober? And all I can say is being sober is amazing. It's great. I would never trade it for anything. It works really well for me. Other people can drink responsibly. I'm not one of those people. I can't drink responsibly at all. So yeah, guys, I just want to thank you all for helping me through my year of sobriety. You guys really made a huge difference in my life. I want to thank everybody out there that supported Ruin Your Day, all the patrons, all the people that did a watch episode, all the guests, all the people that tuned in for watch, everybody that bought merch, everybody that bought music. It means the world to me. So thank you guys. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Ruin an Hour, a safe place to talk about anything from addiction, sobriety, anxiety, depression, balance, and a healthy lifestyle. My name is Kyle Gray. We are live twice a week, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and Sundays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Sorry, this week's episode is a bit late, but, you know, things have been a bit wild in the world, to say the least. That's what I want to currently dedicate today's show to, is how is everybody doing right now? If you guys have anything you want to talk about, I know that amidst a global pandemic and then now global protests, seems like the weight of the world is really heavy for everybody. I just want to ask how everybody's doing. We can talk in the chat. I have no set agenda for today. Hopefully I can talk. But just want to know how how's everything going out there? How's everybody doing in every city they're in? I know, Amy, you're in New York. How's it going out there? Phoenix, you're good. Much love from Australia. Salute, man. Thank you. 2020 is a real motherfucker, that's for sure. Detroit is wild right now. It's crazy in Richmond. It's crazy in LA right now. Just keeping our head up and trying to stay straight. Y'all got to stand in solidarity for each other internationally. I'm very close to Atlanta, but I'm safe. That's good to hear that you're safe. Yeah, yesterday they made a curfew for Los Angeles. So by 8 p.m. you couldn't go outside until 5 a.m., which they haven't done. Even for COVID, they never had a curfew. So it's pretty extreme. Very extreme. NYC is crazy. Unsurprisingly, it will continue tonight. So what's going on in New York? Cincinnati has been protesting all weekend. Stay safe over in Phoenix too. Protests across the pond in London too. Standing with everyone. Yeah, we have martial law. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Atlanta has one too, but I don't live within Atlanta city limits. Love from Nova Scotia. Hope you're staying safe. Tony, been working 60 hours a week for Amazon, and this shit is seriously insane. It feels like an explosion can happen any second. Damn, 60 hours a week. That's a long work week, my friend. Ha, Jaden, yes I was in that. Protesters in Phoenix. I live in St. Louis, and we're in the front too. We need demilitarization and reform of police, period. If anyone out there still thinks that there are good cops out there, ask yourself what they'll do when push comes to shove. It's definitely something to think about. People can't be peaceful. Protests turning to riots. It's just lots of crap going on. It was 5 police choppers over my neighborhood for 12 hours straight yesterday. Amy, I'm sorry to hear that. That seems ridiculous. The National Guard has been deployed to almost every city with protests. I stand with everyone protesting, but I work for city government, so I'm not out on the front lines. I'm not sure I can buy the idea that nothing is going to change. Black versus blue coming true, excuse me. We had a Black Lives Matter protest here yesterday, but I haven't seen anything from it. We have another one scheduled for June 6th. My son wants to go, but I'm scared to attend in case things go south. Did I see Killer Mike's message? I didn't. What did he say? Definitely has been wild here in LA. Joshua, what's up? I'm not even inspired to go back to work anymore. I'm scheduled to start back tomorrow. Blessed to have a job, but at the same time infuriated at the system. What did Killer Mike say? Is it on YouTube? We can watch that shit if you guys want to do that. That'd be cool. Killer Mike is an amazing speaker. Honestly, I've been pretty detached from, I've like taken a step away for the past like 3 days. I've been like not, that's why like round for round has not been going on. Just self-admittedly, I needed a break. And also with just everything going on, it's just really heavy and I just wanted to detach. So I've been like literally just like, probably not the best thing. I've been like eating like really bad and like I haven't been on the internet or like on my phone and like just been like binge watching TV. Pretty horrible, but all right, look it up. Is it on YouTube? All right, it's on YouTube. All right, let's get it. Let's look it up. Killer Mike. Killer Mike. One day ago. Yep, I had ice cream too, Amy. Not the best, but it's satisfied. All right, this one. Killer Mike and T.I. make a case for protecting Atlanta. Is that it? Or is it this one? You have a duty to not burn your house down. The Guardian News. All right, cool. Let's watch this.
I got a lot of love and respect for police officers, down to the original 8 police officers in Atlanta that even after becoming police had to dress in a YMCA because white officers didn't want to get dressed with niggers. So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. And now is the time to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral offices accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. I'm mad as hell. So my question for us on the other side of this camera is, after it burns, will we be left with charred, or will we rise like a phoenix out of the ashes that Atlanta has always done? Will we use this as a moment to say that we will not do what other cities have done, and in fact, we will get better than we've been? We got good enough to destroy cash bonds, so we have an opportunity now. Because I'm mad, I don't have any good advice. But what I can tell you is that if you sit in your homes tonight, instead of burning your home to the ground, you will have time to properly plot, plan, strategize, and organize and mobilize in an effective way. And 2 of the most effective ways is first taking your butt to the computer and making sure you fill out your census so that people know who you are and where you are. The next thing is making sure you exercise your political bully power and going to local elections and beating up the politicians that you don't like.
Word up. Killer Mike is the man. He's a fantastic public speaker. Why doesn't he run for some sort of political office? Or maybe he has.
I didn't want to come, and I don't want to be here. I'm the son of an Atlanta City police officer. My cousin is an Atlanta City police officer, and my other cousin, East Point police officer. And I got a lot of love and respect for police officers, down to the original 8 police officers in Atlanta that even after becoming police had to dress in a YMCA because white officers didn't want to get dressed. And here we are 80 years later. I watched a white officer assassinate a black man, and I know that tore your heart out. And I know it's crippling. And I have nothing positive to say in this moment because I don't want to be here. But I'm responsible to be here because it wasn't just Dr. King and people dressed nicely who marched and protested to progress this city and so many other cities. It was people like my grandmother, people like my aunts and uncles who were members of SCLC and NAACP, and in particular, Reverend James Orange, Mrs. Alice Johnson, and Reverend Love, who we just lost last year. So I'm duty bound to be here to simply say that it is your duty not to burn your own house down for anger with an enemy. It is your duty to fortify your own house so that you may be a house of refuge in times of organization. And now is the time to plot, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. It is time to beat up prosecutors you don't like at the voting booth. It is time to hold mayoral offices accountable, chiefs and deputy chiefs. Atlanta is not perfect, but we're a lot better than we ever were, and we're a lot better than cities are. I'm mad as hell. I woke up wanting to see the world burn down yesterday because I'm tired of seeing black men die. He casually put his knee on a human being's neck for 9 minutes as he died like a zebra in the clutch of a lion's jaw. And we watch it like murder porn over and over again. So that's why children are burning to the ground. They don't know what else to do. And it is the responsibility of us to make this better right now. We don't want to see one officer charged. We want to see 4 officers prosecuted and sentenced. We don't want to see targets burning. We want to see the system that sets up for systemic racism burnt to the ground. And as I sit here in Georgia, home of Stevens, Georgia, former vice president of the Confederacy, white man said that law, fundamental law, stated that whites were naturally the superior race, and the Confederacy was built on a cornerstone. It's called a cornerstone speech. Look it up. The cornerstone speech that blacks would always be subordinate. That officer believed that speech because he killed that man like an animal. In this city, officers have done horrendous things and they have been prosecuted. This city's cut different. In this city, you can find over 50 restaurants owned by black women. I didn't say minority, and I didn't say women of color. So after you burn down your own home, what do you have left but char and ash?
It's powerful. That's really powerful. But yeah, he's the man. Can't say anything else. Then he is an incredible public speaker, and that's really, really powerful. I hope I don't know. Hope people heed his advice, I guess. Yeah. There was pure mayhem in NYC last night. I hope everyone is safe and does everything you can to avoid any and all police officers. They're not holding anything back. For sure. For sure, definitely. NYC undercovers had orange and white armbands on last night. Will probably a different color tonight. Yeah, I heard about that. I heard that they're rocking like some sort of armbands so you can tell who's undercover or not. Huh. Yeah. Really wild, that's for sure. Really insane times. Haha. Word up. I mean, Atlanta just has more. I mean, it's funny because Kilroy, like, Atlanta's like a very special city in this country, I feel. They had people working with the cops, splitting up protests with the cops in advantage to drop the protests. I feel bad for those businesses. Everyone is going through hard times. The looting might be the final nail for some stores. Agreed, Dan. Definitely. Did you see the clip of the cops in Flint marching with the people? They took their gear off and said they won't hold people back. They will stand with them. Nah, I didn't see that. I'm saying it's like a very powerful clip, though. Feels like a civil war of sorts. The world is so polarized.
I have a 10-day-old baby to worry about. I hope the world she grows up in a prettier one to look at than this. I'm doubtful. I guess I don't view these protests as being something that's like horrible though, Mike, I guess, because I feel like if anything, it's sort of a step in the right direction. It's at least voices of the unheard being heard in some way, shape, or form, if that makes sense. Even though it's horrific and there's violence and businesses are being burned down, it's all horrible, for sure. It's all terrible. But I mean, I think that it's like being brought to light the injustices that a definite certain group of people have suffered for so long, you know. And sometimes it's like there's no way to displace your anger rather than just take it out into the streets. Could be a step in the right direction. Yeah, exactly. Our children will grow up in a different direction and be more inclusive because of these messages they're saying in the media. Yeah, I agree with that, Desi, for sure. Kay Green won't be on the news, but 1,000 of us walked through Baltimore peacefully yesterday. Well, congrats on that, man. That's big. Congrats on being there for that, too. That's huge. These moments are what we are remembered in history. The Flint Sheriff video is great. Another great one. Desi nailed it. I shot you a link to it if you want to see that one, too. Where'd you send it to me? Let's see. Flint Sheriff walk. Alright, let's go to Twitter then. Get in my DMs. Oh, it's on Facebook? Ugh. Yeah, I'm not gonna open Facebook, Amy, I'm sorry. It's like just not. Which one is it? Is it this one or this one? They're both really short. Alright, let's just watch the Guardian one. Whoa, hey there.
The reason we're here is to make sure that you got a voice. That's it. There we go. Don't think for a second that he represents who these cops are from all over the county and around this nation. We go out there to help people, not do that nonsense. There we go. I want to tell you, where's my man? Right there. Where's the gentleman?
Oh, I think he took off.
Okay, yeah, my man.
He took off.
Pastor Hawkins, see, I was going to tell you, we want to be with y'all for real. So I took my helmet off and laid the batons down. I want to make this a parade, not a protest. You got little ones here, you got dogs, so what's up? So listen, I'm just telling you, these cops love you. That cop over there hugs people, so you tell us what you need to do.
Walk with us! 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 Walk with us!
Let's walk. Let's walk.
Sheriff Chris Watson, sorry. Go! Tennessee County Sheriff. They're gonna walk with us. They're gonna walk with us.
Damn. That's really powerful. Yeah, that's big. That's big. It's a good example he set for sure. Especially in a place as that's gone through so much as Flint. Like, they don't even have running water that's healthy out there. And their cops can set a good example like that. That's big. Yep, for sure, Tony. Definitely, that's definitely one perspective for sure. I've been trying to, I don't know what the right thing to do is. I don't know what the right thing is to avoid watching too much of the media. I don't know what the correct way to go about this is. I think the best thing that I can do, you know, being like a white person, is to talk to other white people and try to explain my perspective as much as possible and share that with them, because it's, it's not anybody else's responsibility but our own to educate the people around ourselves, especially white people, and listen. Amy brought up a good point, using the phrase "I know" when you're agreeing with something. You could just say that's a good point, or you could say tell me more, instead of taking that standpoint of But yeah. Yeah, I agree, Kilroy. I mean, a lot of news is like that. A lot of news is just like fear mongering for sure, because it's just a business. So I hear you is a good one. Yeah, I've been trying to use that way more as well. Yeah, Matthew, exactly. It's like a fear instilling thing, instead of looking at this as not as like a horrible thing, but it's like, I don't know, I feel like something's gonna happen because of this, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe I'm incorrect. Independent media is the way to go for seeing what's really going on in the streets. Shiv, good to see you in here, man. How are you doing? If anyone knows Irish history, what's going on with you guys, it's like the Troubles in the 1960s. If it continues, there will be bombings and a death toll that is hard to fathom. With us, it was religion. For sure, I've heard about the Troubles. The 92 riot was exclusive to LA. It's so crazy how the outrage is being expressed across the country at one time. Something better happened. The thing also is I definitely wasn't here in Los Angeles when the riots happened, but the riots were outraged over the Rodney King assaults, but it wasn't presented to America like that. Like when you think of the LA riots, it's like used to villainize the impoverished, I feel, and it's not really used to be like, this is a voice of the disenfranchised being frustrated at the system that's against them, And I feel like now this whole thing is kind of that way. People understand why people are angry more, and they're not just because the thing about the LA riots too is what's the biggest thing that went viral off that was that truck driver getting assaulted, and that was used as a scapegoat for how evil the riots were in LA. The riots were a horrible thing for sure, but the cause of that was because of frustration with Rodney King. So it's I feel now there's no real thing that the media can just be oh, look, this is the way to villainize it, because for all the things I've been seeing, all the footage I've been seeing, a lot of it is the cops causing the violence, and a lot of the protests have been peaceful up until police show up, and then they become riots, because the police turn them into that. And I'm gonna say this, and I've always said this, I've never been in a situation where the police have shown up and it's made it better. If anything, every situation I've been in that the police have shown up to, they've made it worse every single time. And I can only imagine what that's like in a protest environment as well. Deezy, what's up? I was your Bernie Sanders political fan. I just got banned from Twitter. What's up, Deezy? Good to see you. Also think being quarantined and unemployed fueled a lot of anger. Kilroy agreed with that. I mean, this is definitely a pressure cooker situation for sure. Definitely. I agree. Violence begets violence, but the question being addressed is who starts the violence. Word up. There's people with alternative agendas causing most of the damage. I mean, I'm trying to not talk about certain things in the show because I feel like I don't want to add into the witch hunt like mob mentality of things, but like it's unfortunate when I look at some videos of people protest turn riot, and I see a lot of white people vandalizing property and stuff, and I think just a part of me feels like there is a lot of like white people out there that are taking this as an opportunity to like relive some like bullshit anarchy like fantasy, or like they think they're in the fucking Joker movie or something, you know? And it's like they're by doing that you're devaluating the original stance of what the protests were all about, you know? You're not helping the cause, you're hurting it. So I feel like there's a lot of people, when I look at some of these videos, that I'm just like, there's a couple of videos I watched where it's just like all white people destroying property, and I'm just confused. Like, what the fuck, you know? So, but, yeah, I don't know. The world is feeling outraged. There's been a number of massive protests across London since the George Floyd death. I saw one in Berlin too. I think that's incredible. I agree with people using this to inflate their sense of self-worth and devaluate the legitimate causes others have to rebel. Circle 1, I was at the protest at the Fairfax district yesterday. The majority of people and the Black Lives Matter organizers were peaceful, assembling against racism and police brutality. Circle 1, I heard that too. I mean, I saw plenty of footage of like what looked like hundreds of people kneeling on the streets, and it looked very peaceful to me. And then I saw other footage of cops just fucking beating people up. It's ridiculous. Fuck off. It was white people who looted the X-Pawn shop last night in Vegas. That's a good point. There's a specific label for agents who capitalize on violence to make their opposition look bad. Poison. I am constantly procrastinating and have my master's thesis in half a month. How can I stay focused on my work? Do a little at a time, man. I would say step back and don't look at the whole mountain. Just look at like one step at a time. Just do a little bit at a time. That's true, Tom Fowl. I mean, I'm not really nitpicking individual protesters. I guess I'm just like questioning the authenticity of acts of violence, and especially when it's kind of devaluating the central cause for all this. I think it's fair to question that. The killer cop's wife filed for divorce. If she talks, the police department is in trouble. He definitely has a history. Rain, I heard about that too. Tony, of course. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Joey, thank you. I agree. The PhDs of social media advocate for black and white answers for a problem that has only become more gray over time with more complex resolutions. Damn. That is an interesting perspective. Jay, agreed. It's very hard for me to have a conversation with people that don't believe that racism exists. I guess I just assume they've personally never been in contact with it, because it's hard to really deny when you've seen it firsthand so many times, and there's just so much evidence of it out there. In Cincinnati, a lot of people weren't protesting the right cause. They were just going around chanting "fuck the police" and being violent versus actually being present in the cause. Yeah, I could definitely see that being I mean, it's like such a delicate situation, right? So many misguided people with no direction. Get away with anything. Lots of white people are in denial about racism because they feel uncomfortable about the subject. In the UK, racism is more subtle, so people feel like it's more legitimate to say it doesn't happen now. Agree with that, JC. Definitely, I know a lot of white people are very uncomfortable with the concept of racism still being an enormous thing in this country, especially from a systematic standpoint. A lot of people don't want to admit that the cards are stacked against certain groups of people indefinitely. Yeah, Kilroy, I do. I mean, hasn't it already? Hasn't the military already been put in place? So it's like, I think martial law is definitely going to happen. Is anyone else worried radicals will use this as an excuse with the president encouraging violence over such thin gray lines like political views to escalate farther? I don't know what to do, man. Yeah, I mean, that's a legitimate concern for sure. Matthew, time to collaborate, everyone. We all have different opinions on things. There has to be an attempt to meet halfway. I truly feel a lot of us will find out if we have more common than we think. I agree with that. I think most people have much more in common than they think. Totally agree with that. Myron, agreed with that. If Kaepernick's kneeling offended you and Chauvin's knee on Floyd's neck did, you're a part of the problem. Why are the rioters target mom and pop stores, regular people being forced to protect their lifelong hard work and belongings with swords? I haven't seen too much of that, to be honest, man. Like the only like footage I've seen of like looting and stuff, and I'm not justifying it in any way, shape, or form. And the big one was like the Target that got burned down, and Target is a enormous corporation here in America. But I'm not denying that it's not happening, and I definitely don't agree with looting in general. But I would rather focus the energy on protesting peacefully than that. So, Peter, good to see you, man. FBI was found guilty of being a party in MLK's assassination in civil court. That speaks volumes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Well, what is halfway between not killing people and actually killing them, though? Just hurting them a bit? Circle 1, I think there are people from the far right and the far left who want to use this as an opportunity to destabilize the country. We can't lose focus on why the protest started. I agree, Circle 1. Totally agree. I agree with like focusing on the true cause of this rather than just taking this as a chance to fucking unravel the system for your own personal wants or gains. That's why I kind of said I feel like a lot, like when I see a lot of white people like fucking up property, to me it literally just looks like they're like trying to relive the Joker movie, and I'm just like, it's like I'm like, do you really? Is the true cause of this the real anger you're feeling, you know? Or is it just that you want to fuck some shit up? In a society where everything has been commodified, then ownerships of products has become an expression of power. When the cops display how powerless people are, then looting is a political response. It's an interesting perspective. Tom? Who thinks the USA is stable? The racists are using the president as a shield to be more openly racist. Agree with that. Why does America still vote for such a president who has been openly racist and this means nothing to him? Yeah. We're all stuck on this ball floating in space. There's literally no point to hate each other based on differences in how we look. We want to create a loving, accepting society where we can all flourish. Definitely agree, man. Definitely agree. The only thing I could think of right now is if a good cop were to strike until there was some sort of reform and accountability is in place. The only way to ease our minds is by reconditioning the cops, restrain them, and making it a mandatory rule that they must be more proactive within the community they patrol. Word. That's a good solution for sure. And Jamali, much love for the uploads, especially during the pandemic, and your honesty on the Ruin Your Hour uploads. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Really appreciate that. Why haven't I seen any politicians at the peaceful at protest? Yeah, I don't know. Probably because it's dangerous. Probably because it's a real big liability. Like a super big. Moa, for a non-American, how long is the education to become a police officer in the U.S.? I don't think it's a police academy is that long, to be honest with you. And I think there's definitely certain things that we've talked about on the show. 6 months. It's 6 months. Wow. Wow. That's wild. So, man, that's really, really wild for sure. Benjamin, of course, appreciate you, man. If you have 1,000 good cops and 10,000, or I lost where I was reading, and 10 bad cops, if the good cops don't get rid of them, you have 1,010 bad cops. See that perspective? 3 months in and they get a gun. Wow, that's fucked. You have to study for 2 years to be a hairdresser, but you can be a cop in under a year. Something says that's pretty weighted in a weird direction. No, Mr. Bradlers, for sure. I definitely think COVID played a huge role in this. People are already on edge in general. They're mad because, you know, they can't work, their businesses are closed, and we're like about to go through a pretty like big depression in America, and then not only that, you watch like a cop straight up just murder somebody, you know? So I definitely think COVID played a humongous role in this. In 6 months, people go from every day trying to keep the peace on the street. If most of that training is spent on the range, though, then it's no surprise that they turn to it in high-stress situations. For sure. For sure. I definitely see that. I see that for sure. Yeah, I mean, the education of police has definitely got to change. For sure. I mean, the whole thing needs to be restructured 100%. Just like I agree with what Killer Mike was saying over, like, all those cops need to be tried to the utmost. And, like, I think if a cop commits a crime, he should be tried even more harshly than a civilian, because a civilian doesn't have any training. A cop does. A cop is supposed to be trained to uphold the laws in the highest degree. So if he violates them, trying to uphold them, then that's like you went against the rules. They're equivalent to a school shooter, except they go through training to be a suited killer, but most times they're overlooked at some point, egomania with no self-esteem. I don't like that the government is promoting staying inside and self-quarantine, but not promoting having good health and taking vitamin D during this pandemic. I agree with that. The government is definitely not promoting having a good physical and mental health regimen, for sure. 1,000%. I agree with that. I've been watching this and it's been therapeutic. Have you thought of having a special with some other pillars in the community in a convo? We're all lost and some of y'all are great forms of guidance. Reginald, for sure. I mean, are you talking about on this subject in particular? I would love to do that. I mean, especially because I would love to hear what other members of the black community think about this, you know? Like, you know, being a white male, sometimes I feel awkward being on here and trying to like talk about these things because I want to listen more than I want to exert my opinion, you know, because I definitely want to be educated on this a lot more. So I would love to do that. I would love to have Oops on, B-Dot on, Geechee on, Hollow on. You know, I just did a watch with Hollow yesterday, but to piggyback off what you just said, wouldn't a trained fighter receive harsher charges than a regular individual involved in a fist fight? Yeah, solution, definitely. I mean, I remember there was that joke going around, like when people that like knew martial arts, they would like get like a harsher charge if they hurt somebody in a fight because they're like technically a weapon or whatever. So yeah, I agree. I definitely think the police should be tried a lot harder than civilians should because that's what their training is made for them to do. They're trained to not hurt people. That's not controlling a situation, that's snuffing it out, you know? Word up, Myron. B-Dot always schooled me about that too. Dylan Roof killed 9 people in a church and was walked out with a vest and got food before he went to jail. Yeah, didn't they like stop at like fast food to get him food? It's like, that in itself just shows you like, that would never happen. Imagine if somebody black broke into a church and killed 9 white people. Like, what the like, they would call in the SWAT team. Like, they would never put a bulletproof vest on him and get him food before they went to take him to jail. That's just so, that's so ridiculous. They stopped at Burger King? Oh my God, man. Ugh. Yeah, exactly. Fuck off. Totally. Systematic injustice can only be beaten by a mass violent revolution. Throughout the history, the oppressed have had to fight for their rights. So we all need to get involved. Daniel, I've been between New York and London since 2013. The underlying racial tensions in the U.S. are so sad for a country that could change the systematic inequalities if the top people actually cared. Agree with that. Agree with that. Poisons. Our resources are already limited, and now we have a major setback. Add to that, Trump is working against China. How will these business restock inventory? Yeah, that's wild. They got him on a traffic stop, and there's a Burger King down the road, and they gave him some to get easy info off him. He said who he was and surrendered immediately. Interesting. But still, that doesn't change the fact that he was treated massively different. With care, honestly. Have you been seeing all the stuff Anonymous is leaking and doing today? Solution? No, I haven't. To be honest, I I don't really watch any of the anonymous stuff, but I'm open to it for sure. What's my take on people posting their support on social media? I mean, I think that it's good. I mean, because I think this whole thing is just about spreading awareness, you know? Sure, there are better ways to put your support in for this, but if you're gonna do anything, you know, a little is a lot still. I feel like posting on social media still has some sort of meaning, you know, because it brings awareness to the topic. So, I don't know. I think that's my take on it a little bit. But yeah, hard times, everybody. But you know, Rashad, awareness of what? I mean, a lot of people are ignorant to what's going on. I've personally heard people argue about racism. Like, you can look at the last Room in an Hour. Go peep the last Room in an Hour, and there's a couple comments that say that racism in this country doesn't exist. So I know to us, it's very, like, apparent and, like, this has always been going on. But a lot of people don't believe it. So I do think continuously talking about it has its merit, even if it's self-evident to us, you know? I agree, Theo. I agree, but that's the thing, is like, you just gotta keep. Yeah, I mean, I agree that the change. I don't think that spreading awareness is the solution. But yeah, I think it helps in some way, shape, or form, because it gets you talking. And just like I said, I feel like it's white people's responsibility to educate other white people on this and to change our opinions. What about the Karen who called the police on the black man who told her to put a leash on her dog and said he was threatening her life? Yeah, that was ridiculous. He was straight up bird watching. Oh my God. Whether they believe it or not, they're still hearing about it. They just don't care to see the other perspectives of what I'm getting at. I mean, Rashad, for sure, man. I mean, but you can't just be like, you can't just dismiss some people as being like, they just don't give a shit, you know? Because I do believe that people can change. I believe that people can change their ways. And I believe that people can change their opinions and their stances on things if you approach things in the correct way. And I believe that, especially being white and being around people that I do think are racist, I do think racism is something that's learned. And I think anything that's learned can be unlearned. It's not genetic. It's not like me having brown eyes, you know. It can be reversed in some way. JRY17, I kind of agree with that too, that this is going to push people deeper into views they already have. But so yeah. It is now in a state where if you still expect black people to teach you about what racism is, then you need to shut up. Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I was having a conversation with my friend, and she was talking about how it's not any black person's responsibility to educate a white person on their privilege. And that's really true. That's very, very true. If white people think that racism doesn't exist, it's pretty much just saying that black people are lying about their experience in America. I agree with that, Kilroy, you know. I totally agree, because that's like always my argument, because when people say that racism doesn't exist, I'm like, well, how do you explain what people have personally gone through? You know, like these are facts. These aren't like them making up stories. This is like facts, and it's video footage. Like there's evidence. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree. Reginald, thank you. Agree with that. Racist versus non-racist for sure. No, I did not see that, Crusher 925. Yeah, filming my apartment, man. Of course. Of course I do. My other channel, Minnesota Luke. Minnesota Luke is not doing any videos anymore because he's a snake. No, I'm kidding. It's just because he like took a break. He's focusing on life. Oh yeah. We got Reginald, it's sad to say, but some white folks don't listen unless there's some kind of white. I saw it happen. Yeah. No, I agree with that. A lot of racist people, I mean, a lot of white people don't, like, they'll only listen to other white people, unfortunately. Racism is definitely learned. The argument of color was ingrained by economics and the greed in it. If poor and less educated communities were fully integrated, I'd be Pikachu face all around there. Yeah. Yeah, for sure, Shiv. I agree with that as well. Sometimes the conversation moves from racism via systematic racism, but those people have to already admit that racism exists, so I don't know why there is even a point to argue. Why was George killed? What was the reason? I mean, the reason was they said he was resisting arrest. And there's like video footage that they are saying that it doesn't look like he's resisting arrest. And that's always the reason why cops say they had any reason to murder somebody. He was resisting arrest, and the thing is, it's like there's no reason to arrest him in the first place. He's on the fucking street doing shit. Doing nothing. Imagine if a bunch of cops came up to you and they're just like, you're under arrest right now. You're going to jail. Like, it's gonna be something you resist 100%, especially if there's 4 of them and they're being physical with you. But, yeah. Anyways, I hope everybody's good. I don't know. I don't have the answers. I'm not pretending like I do. I feel like this is a very important thing to talk about. I apologize that we didn't talk about much of else, but yeah, exactly, JC. This probably goes on all the time and isn't captured on film. I agree. But I think this is such an important thing to discuss, especially with it going on so strongly in our country currently, that I think we should keep talking about this as long as it's here, because I feel like these are good discussions, you know? And I'm learning a lot as well from you guys, so I appreciate everybody out there. But hope everybody is staying safe. Go outside today, walk around your block, drink some water, eat some good food, some healthy food. I've been eating like utter fucking shit for the past 3 days. I haven't worked out for 3 days. I literally disappeared off the map. But I'm going to be back today. I'm going to work out. It's gonna be crazy. I'm gonna do round for round today. We got Loaded Lux versus Iron Solomon at 5 p.m. Hopefully, if I can get it done. And then tomorrow we're gonna do the winner of Hollow and Briz and B Dot and JC. Whoever wins that. So Lux and Iron today at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And yeah, I will see you guys then. Thanks for tuning in for Ruin an Hour. I will see you guys later today. Peace out.